Good afternoon. It's another mini episode of what was it called? Oh, multiple personalities. I don't know why it's called that. Because I am just one person. I'm always the same. And after all, aren't we all always the same as we were yesterday or the day before? No? You're right. We're not. However, this idea of multiple personalities is just a foolish conceit by a conceited man. Anyway, so look, someone gave me a very good suggestion, and we were talking yesterday, and this whole situation where you're snatching people off the street and throwing them into a van and taking them somewhere unknown. All of these things that are happening, and the people are crying foul, and so there needs to be protests, and there are. But we need to have very well thought out protests. One of the suggestions was when the Quakers were leading the protest, arranging it, and doing the strategies and so forth, when attacked, curling up like a ball in a fetal position on the ground. But one of the things that would happen is you would get all of the most noteworthy people in the front ranks. In the case of civil rights, you get Martin Luther King, or you get very well-known people, whether they're preachers or celebrities or politicians that everybody knows. They're the first rank, and then you go back in descending ranks, and the people at the rear are the most unhinged. You can have some people who are really angry. They're at the rear because if things get really crazy, then there has to be some pushback, but you have to be very careful about the pushback, and everybody has to be trained. The other thing is that the civil rights protests and the anti-war protests against Vietnam and so forth were orchestrated very well when they were done that way. And the idea, though, that's most important was that there are coalitions. There are people for civil rights, people for stopping the war in Vietnam, people who were into gay rights, and people who were into women's rights, and young people and old people, students, all together at the protest. The institutions that would ordinarily put guardrails around somebody who is a would-be dictator and has become one, and it's been pointed out by people on Bulwark like JVL and Bill Kristol that this is just 4 months in, and so we have to kind of imagine, if we've slid this far, this fast, what's the next 4 months and next 4 months and next 4 months going to portend. And it's deeply, deeply disturbing and frightening in a lot of different ways. For people who didn't necessarily support, like me, an American empire, but really have been attached to ideals of American democracy, the better angels of American democracy. Um, the freedom of speech, we know what they are. Freedom of speech, ways to advance in life, to expand, to be uh, left alone as long as we weren't hurting anybody, to become our best selves, to have a good system of education where we're taught whatever is known up to that point in a general way. Then people pick the things that they really care about and can go further with them. And all of these things are fantastic. They're great things. Even though the country itself didn't live up to these things without being forced a lot of times. And make it very clear, sometimes it really had to be forced. But again, you had coalitions when it came to the big questions. And that's when protests work, and you really have to get massive numbers, to have the point made. The million-person march sort of thing, which can only happen with a variety of coalitions, that's the kind of thing that needs to happen. But if we are all just sort of separately protesting different aspects of these things, the power is diminished. If we don't do these things together, they don't work as well. It's still okay to protest on particular items, but at this point, I think we have to protest the entire thing. The attacks on black and brown people, on Latino Catholics, and be sure that there is a move that somehow represents old warfare between Protestants and Catholics. That's happening. And all of this stuff just takes us away from each other, and that's the point. The divide and conquer thing has always worked if you know how to do it. And this group knows how to do it, and to do it with a megaphone, as they say. So if you want to get something done, then we need coalitions. We need everybody to be a part of it. Regardless of how far we've slipped already, it's worth the struggle. It's worth just because it's the right thing to do. Because if you think something is truly unjust and unfair in every way, and even brutal and violent and mean, then it's right to say, I don't like this. I don't want it to continue. And come what may, at least then we know we've done what we thought was right. And in this life, doing what we think is right is huge. Doing what I think is right is a huge thing for me. It's in a way all important. And so I think we should promote that idea. Just do what you think is right. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks or does, because that's irrelevant. And don't be afraid. It's easy. That's how most people are controlled, if they're going to be controlled, by fear. Dictatorships always use it. Kings and queens and pharaohs and emperors and czars and who needed to have absolute power pretty much had to have some kind of a big stick to let you know, should you dissent, there's going to be a lump on your head, for sure. So these are thoughts that I'm having. And the other thing is to, in terms of the fear is, fear motivates everybody here because we've been taught to fear death, because all of these things and the deepest fears and fears in general relate to the idea of dying somehow. And we've been taught from cradle to grave, that there is reason to fear authority, and if we believe in God and we are not doing right by God, there's reasons to fear. And if we believe that there's a hell, there's definitely reasons to fear being dead if we haven't done right by God's estimation. And so, so every type of fear, in some sense, relates to the fear of death. And it has been a system of control for thousands of years because it works. And you've got generations of training and people accepting that the basic ideas. But it's all false. It's all conceptualizing and then implementing methods of fear to keep control. Simple, and that's what we see happening here. So let's get together. Let's form coalitions, get the LGBTQ people, the civil rights people, the freedom of religion people, the freedom of speech people, the freedom for the equality of women people, all together. Otherwise, you get what you get. And remember, if you see that sign outside of any tattoo parlor, you get what you get is not a place you want to go into. So that's all I have for today. Much love. Be well.